I just woke up on day 3 of the launch, and although I have been having fun, there's a lot of good things going on with the game. I just wanted to give my concerns on some of the biggest things that I have found that I think that really need to change, or the game is really going to be dead here pretty soon. Um, but I don't want to put this as completely negative, and I'm going to start with the biggest issue for me, which feels like there is no progression. If you look at PoE1, you start off with only a couple skills, and enemies really, really mess you up in the first act. But then you start getting movement skills, you start getting a couple links, and then you start getting through the campaign pretty quickly. There's also a lot of abilities that people use to level up that are just inherently stronger without gear and let you get through the campaign until you can get your better gear and better items. So this one could be something that PoE2 is also going to incorporate. I know for a fact, for one, that minions are so bad that you're going to be using SRS for the vast majority of your playthrough, and possibly only in game 2. But yeah, I don't feel any stronger starting the game that when I start getting my ascendancies, I start getting some better gear. I don't feel progression at all. I feel the same at level 1 as I do at level 30. It's just the same kind of slog. One is a very small nitpick. It's that we don't have tooltips when hovering over our in the you know the action button bar or whatever. You actually have to press G or whatever your keybind is to go into your skill gems and then hover over it there. Why can't I just hover over it on the skill, like, just to make sure what I know what things do, because things have had such a big change in the game. Next is Ascendency trials. Now, on the classes that I played so far, I haven't had much trouble with the Sanctum one, but I cannot imagine going through there in melee. And it feels bad spending so much time in there, knowing that you could lose at any second and having to slog through it and do these tedious things again. Labyrinth was pretty bad as well, but the thing with Labyrinth was your first couple of Ascendancy trials were so easy. Like, they only took like 5 minutes, 10 minutes maximum to get through. Not even that. Having to do Sanctum, which, I mean, I played Sanctum in Sanctum League, and that was it. Never played it again, even though it had a lot of people playing it. Most people weren't playing it for fun. They were playing it for the ridiculous amounts of currency that came with it. So Ascendancy trials thus far are not fun. I hope that they make them the way shorter versions. Like the first time you go through Sanctum, make it like 5 rooms or something, maybe 4 rooms, or just something small enough to, get your Ascendancy points. And then if people want to do that in game as their mechanic, they can do that. Next is being surrounded. Most of my deaths in this game are from inherently being surrounded, by having like a group of really fast monsters run up to me and I have no way to get out of it. I don't know if this is better for other classes. Like, I know you can get Leap Slam for some melee. With Sorceress, I tried using the Frost Nova that will push enemies away, but it pushes them back so small amount that most of the time that will not even work. So not having phasing on our roll makes it really easy to get surrounded and then you just die. Next, this is another small one. Why can't we see all the skill gems that we can get without having to click a skill orb or whatever? That just seems like it should be naturally in the game. I know in PoE1 you couldn't do that, but if PoE2 you can by clicking an orb, why not just have a screen where you can just see all of them? That way you can kind of plan out what you want to do. Next is maps themselves. Maps are giant mazes in this game. I don't know what to say other than that. All the maze layouts in PoE1, I was always like, oh man, it's this freaking maze. I hated like cells, and then like oh gosh, that outdoor one that kind of looks like it's inside of an Ascendancy trial. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but at the end you fought the ghost with the green laser, whatever. I hate mazes, and the maps in PoE2 are just enormous, and you have to find a specific or two specific things in there, and it could be anywhere on the map. So you just have to go around everywhere, and you can't really run by monsters because you're so slow. And if you do try to run by monsters, half the time, a lot of them are faster than you. They'll catch up to you and then surround you, and then you die, and then you miss the whole trek that you already did. You respawn way back in Narnia and have to make the trip again, and it's just, so you have to full clear almost every map, which takes forever. So there's another one. This is another thing I found that annoyed me, but it's just another small thing, was some small skills that target an AoE on the ground, like Unearth, for example. If you have that on your left click, makes it so you can't click on like 90% of stuff. But that's probably just a bug. I just wanted to throw that in there. Let's get to the elephant in the room, is loot. Now, I understand what they're doing with loot. Basically, they couldn't have loot start off with the amount of items that you got in PoE 1. If they start off with that, the game will creep. Like, there will be increases. No matter what they try, things will increase. So it's good to have a baseline level so that things can increase, so we don't get to the point of PoE 1 where if you press Alt and you see how many items are actually on the ground, it'll freeze your computer because there's so much. But the amount of loot that is offered right now is just way too small. And this is coming from a ruthless enjoyer. I did play some ruthless and I thought it was pretty fun. The only reason I didn't stick with it is because of the imbalancement of classes. Like, it was hard for everyone else, except they always had these busted classes and everything, and then there was no league mechanics, or else I would have played ruthless. But regardless, because I like everything, I'm in PoE 1, I'm just saying that I would really increase like loot, maybe even just like small amount, just to start out with, like 30%. I think that's a good round number. And definitely vastly and increase it for the first act, just because for not having something with like plus skill gems or just something to get you through, if you don't get a lucky drop, the difference between having that and not having that is just night and day. At least for just like a little bit. And I can't imagine how bad this is for melee, because I haven't tried melee yet, because why would you play melee in PoE 2? PoE 1, PoE. Next is every class has massive combos abilities that they have to play. You don't just press one or two buttons for clear, and then when you get to a boss, you set up a bunch of buffs and then do all your thing, which is how PoE 1 was. PoE 2 is you are rotating through multiple skills just to clear everything, and it is a slog. Like, you can't just get through, except, well, on Sorceress you can just spark through everything. That's what I do. So it's weird that how some classes are fine just having this, but I haven't played everything yet. But a lot of what I played is just, you need to press a million buttons in combos in succession, which I get, that's what they were trying to do, but it's not working out, at least for me. Like, how many people played 2-button builds in PoE 1? Like, that was a whole thing, is like people like not wanting to play it, and like they will have disclaimers in the beginning of build guides. They're like, just to let you know, this is a 2-button build. And now we're like, okay, every build is like a 4, 5, 6-button build just to kill trash. I think this needs to be toned down, give us a little bit more power in clearing abilities, and fine. In bosses, combos are where it's at. I like how I just started a Frost Sorceress, and it's going good. I can clear with Frostbolt so far, Cold Snap on top of it, bam, clear's done. I get to a boss, I can at least higher levels, get to freezing the boss by throwing some frost bolts and then rolling around. And once the boss is frozen, drop a fortress ice wall around him, throw down a frost bomb. When that procs, send down a comic, blows it up, ice snap the freeze, big bada boom, throwing a curse in there, big old wombo combo. That feels great. Like, I love that, because you're really like putting all this force into a boss. But when you have to do that to every single pack to kill white mobs, it is just tedious. Respec costs, they are too high. Just bottom line, make them high for higher levels. That's fine. Lower levels, they do need to be lower. I pick up every blue item that I get. I never, or blue or yellow item. I never do the disenchant or anything. I sell every single item because I know I'm going to need that gold, because I know I'm going to mess something up or I'm going to want to try something else. It's a bad player experience. Change it. Change it so that high levels are expensive, 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 whatever you want to do, but low levels needs to be lower. Melee is punished too hard at lower levels. Now, this is not a personal experience. I'm just going by everything that I'm saying in game to my friends and from what I've read online. It's just PoE2 is supposed to save Melee. At least in the beginning of the game, it is not. I'm assuming, personally, from what I've seen, a lot of the Melee Ascendencies look really, really strong with gear, and they have inherent like life leech, mono leech, all this stuff. I think Melee is going to be doing really well at the end game, but that doesn't change the fact that in the beginning of the game they are bad to play. So yeah, I would probably increase their inherent power of abilities, maybe give them some inherent movement speed or something like that, just to give them something. Especially, man, I can't even imagine doing Sanctum, which scales with you, so you can't even, go do Sanctum and like, oh man, I can't do it at 22. I'll come back at 30 and smash it. No, you come back at 30, it's still 30. So yeah, I can't imagine doing Sanctum on a melee, but you have to. Now, this one is, I'm not through I'm just about through, but I'm not all the way through the campaign yet. And oh my god, it's a slog. Like, the whole thing is just a slog. And I've done this with, I'm on my third character now because I'm trying to get a whole wrap around of my head around the game. And it is so slow. Like, can you imagine having to do this? And we only have 3 acts. Like, it's gonna, like, every character, like, I know we're gonna get faster at it and we're gonna be able to send our alts, movement speed boots and giga gear and all this stuff, but man, it is gonna be a freaking slog, especially for the first time that we run through it, every new league. And I know in PoE1 they never changed anything. We never got an adventure mode, but we got so fast at that. You could get it done in 6 hours if you were really trying and you weren't, you're not giga player or anything. It's not that big of a deal. I can't see that happening in PoE1. That is just not, or PoE2, that's not going to happen. So it's going to be a slog every time that we want to make new characters. All right, next, skills are completely imbalanced with each other, which is, it is a early access. I'm surprised that they're this unbalanced, at least in early game. So I started out with minions. Minions are just complete garbage in the beginning. And well, even when I stopped playing my minion character at 34, they are just awful. They die in seconds. Which means you're just basically a gimped sorceress, until you get SRS, and then SRS just clears for a while until you're back in the same boat, and then until you get another gem, it's really slow. And then I start a spark sorceress, get Pierce. And then once I get Pierce and get a little bit of added duration, I am a god, just going through everything. Like, I just, as soon as I got that, just boom, 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 game's easy mode now. And then I started playing a Frost Sorceress, and there's no challenge. Like, I just blast through the entire game. So it's just like all these different levels of skills and stuff are just completely imbalanced. And when you're trying to make a game that is, a new player, picks up and is like, oh, what's this game all about? And they don't know that they're like, oh, you have to pick these specific abilities or whatever to be able to do this. Like, that don't even make sense. Like, in PoE1 is like, you have specific abilities. Like, if you wanted to level a minion build in PoE1, you couldn't choose, oh man, I want to play zombies and summon skeletons. And like, no, that's cool that you want to level with that, but you can't at all. You play SRS, or you play, whatever those minions, the temporary minions with the lightning things. I never did that. I was just always played SRS. You have to do that. Well, new players are not going to know that, so they're going to go into PoE2 and they're like, I want to play this skill right here, and they can't play it because it's such a slog and you can't kill anything. But yeah, that's pretty much that's pretty much what I have to say. I think that the game, I mean, the graphics are great, the movement, it looks cool. Like, there's a lot to like about the game, and it is early access, but there's some things that I just don't understand how got through EA. But I wasn't there making the game, so I get the idea is they really want to. What I think is going on is they want to make the game uh, as slow and unrewarding as possible in just for right now. They're trying to find the point of where the balance is to be like just good enough, because once they start introducing more league mechanics, and if they ever need to tune up, tuning up is easy to do because you tune up, everyone's like, oh, nice, more stuff, this is awesome, people love getting stuff, people like things getting slightly easier. Like, but if they came out with a game and there's already so much of this loot and the game's already easy, and they're like, this is too much, we gotta tone it down, that never goes over well. Look at PoE, for example. Look when they threw in Arch Nemesis. Look when they redid Act 1. Nobody was like, oh, hell yeah, I love being slower and less powerful. Nobody ever likes that. So I get what they're doing. They're starting it off at a very low level so they can build it up. But it's a tricky game because if you do it too low, everyone's just going to leave and there's not going to be people around to be able to stick around for things to improve. So I hope that, well, that we got what we got, and I hope that it doesn't deter too many people, because I think there's a lot under the hood that is going to be good, and it already is good. And I'm gonna wait until in game before I give like a final review of what I think about the game, and that's about it. And I will see you guys back in Rayclast. I'm going to play my Frost Sork and see what's up. Peace.